Very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Pinaki and welcome back to my video. 4th August 2020, when the serious blast occurred in the Beirut city, which is the capital city of Lebanon. 172 people died, 6,500 people got injured, and more than 3 lakh people become homeless. When one side corona pandemic doesn't live in the mind of the people, on the other side this situation creates a difficult situation in the life of the people. Who is the person behind this attack and what is the religious propaganda? Today on this video I'm going to discuss about it. So if you want to take the opportunity and get the benefit of the video, just want to request you to stay till the end. Friends, though the exact reason for the blast is still not identified, but it is said that someone has kept 4,250 of nitrogen gas or nitrogen on the Beirut port, which may be the cause of this blast. And the Beirut port is regulated by the two authorities. One is the port authority, another is custom authority. The custom authority is a legal supporter of its ex-president, and the port authority is the legal supporter of the ex-prime ministers. So you might have a question in the mind, how can the port be regulated by the two LATs? So if you want the exact reason, you have to go to the political system of the Lebanon. So friends, do you know exactly where the Lebanon is located? Lebanon is located in the Middle East. If you ever see the countries like Syria, the country like United Arab Emirates, the country like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, these are the countries that are located in the Middle East, and the most of the petroleum and petroleum products is imported to our country from there itself. And Lebanon is the country which is located in the border of Syria. The country was separated from the French colonialism in the year of 1943. And after 1943 it is separated, it is decided that the political system will be based on the religions. It means that every religious group will be given to the equal opportunity as well as the representation in the political system. Lebanon is a country which consists of 18 political communities, 4 Muslims, 12 Christians, and the Druze sectors and Judaism, and this is called the political sectarianism. Well, this country is all about the politicals and religions, but the main 3 religions is based on the Shia Muslims, Sunni Muslims, and Maronite Christians. Maronite is one of the part of the religion of the Christians. If you see the Protestant, Catholic Christians, Maronite is one of the group of the Christianities. Well, the thing is here is like every group and every people and every communities have given the exact representation into the politics. Theoretically it looks good, but practically if you see that every communities and every political system has made their own politics and has made their own political groups, and they are doing all kind of corruptions by taking the money of the public through taxes, through different kind of duties. And there is no kind of better relationship in between them. It means that the communities which supported to the president, they are trying to develop to that communities only. The communities who try to take the prime minister, they try to develop on that communities only, and the communities try to take the member of parliament try to take the benefit of that communities only. The Shia communities is also the person who wants to be the member of parliament is always be a Shia communities. The person who wants to be the prime minister is always be from the Sunni communities, and the person who wants to be the person who wants to be in the president, he always have to be from the Christian communities, and that should be Maronite Christians. But that's created difficulties when the community try to develop in their own self rather than the thinking about the public benefit for the public benefit and link between themselves for the betterment of the public. And this is the situation when the conclusion that the country is going to the larger corruptions. It is strict as 138 out of the 180 worst corrupted countries. 180 is the worst corrupted country, and 138 stands as 138 corrupted country. Today in the situation that unemployment has been rising. The unemployment rate in the youth is 37%, when the overall unemployment rate is 22%. One third of the population is still below poverty line of the Lebanon, and it is said that the poverty and the people, it's very difficult for the people because the government has not take the people seriously. The money will be wasted for their own benefit, their own sake, rather than helping for the people itself. That's something created difficulties in the mind of the peoples, and that's they are the most of the time they're coming to the street and do the civil war. And there's a lot of time of civil war happen. But in the 1990s, when there is a second republic has established, the government tried to do reformation in the politics. They take to some of the power of the president and give to the prime ministers. To solve that, the things will be coming under the control. But it is same again in the theory. The practicality is that each community in each religious group support their political parties. They try to betterment of their parties and take the money of the people, use for further it and for corrupting the money of the people, and use for their own benefits rather than the utilizing for the benefiting of the countries. And now it is possible that it is happened that Lebanon is going to the one economic crisis of a country. Its debt to GDP ratio is the third highest in the total world. Its debt to GDP ratio stood at 150%, and minimum debt to GDP ratio it should not be crossed to the 70% or 77%. So it should not be considered, but it is stood at 150%. So what exactly a debt to GDP ratio? I told about the GDP in one of my video. I'll give the description and link in the description box. You can go and watch it. GDP is nothing but basically a consumption and production of the country during that particular year. What are the production and the basis of that the people who get paid, the basis of that the people are consume, people of the benefit of the nation is decided. But one thing is that the thing is that the GDP of the country, the Lebanon, is basically in the difficult situation. When it is said that the GDP, when one of the time 10 years back, GDP growth was ticking along 8 to 9% a year, the economic growth which has stuck between 1 to 2% in several years. But now the GDP has going to down level. With the few years, the foreign exchange Lebanon depends on despair of remitting cash and the banking system, and the GDP is going down itself. So what is happening to the GDP? It's basically that when the Lebanon government try to fail the facing the difficulties to pay its import duties and import payment itself, because the government has to. Lebanon is the country which is the mostly difficult on the import itself. Its export, the thing is only about the petrol or petroleum product, the tobacco. These are the export. The most of the things they are importing from the outside country. But whatever the money is generated, that is used only by this corrupted politicians, not the benefit of the people. That's why the situation higher that country is unable to pay the import as well as the payment of the import to that product that is coming from the outside or the overseas. And the government on one side are taking a direction that they want to take the loan from the bank and on the higher interest rate pay to the import duty. But it is same thing happen when on one side that our dollar foreign exchange and dollar pretty less because our export is pretty less. On the other side, government try to push the import by taking the public money. But how many days it can take the public money when you have to pay the larger interest rate? Finally, government has to do the certain things in order to stabilize its euro, because its euro has losing its value against the dollar. When you do not have a lot of foreign currency in your hand and you have to pay everything on your own currency, the value will be decreases. And same thing happen in case of India. If India export is pretty less, import is more, you have to pay from the own currency. And if you do not have the foreign currency like dollars, you have to pay the own currencies. Okay, that's decrease your value. And same thing happened in the case of Lebanon. But how many days it is possible? So 2019 the economic crisis happened when the government will be fully supported by the one of his prime minister, which is coming into the government, is none other than the so who is the prime minister at that time is Hassim I'm sorry, okay, so basically the prime minister of the time is Saad Harari, who is the prime minister of that basically time. Well, Saad Harari, what they do is basically he tried to impose tax on the tobacco. He tried to impose tax on the various duties like on the tobacco as well as the on petroleum product. Even the situation they try to put the tobacco in the situation like they put the duties on the and the taxes on the WhatsApp calls. That's created rage among the public, and public has to come out of the street and they have to raise complaint against the government. And finally the prime minister has to resign from the post itself. The Saad Harari has to resign from the prime minister, and finally the situation is not under the control of the situation, and people are protesting. Many Catholic group and many people from the Shia, Syria, many people from the Shia communities, Sunni communities come into the street and try to raise a complaint against the government. But that something happened for a longer period of time. When another prime minister come into the part is Hassan Diab, who take the oath and try to development of the country. But finally when the 2020 the pandemic coronavirus coming into the existence, and the many business shutting down, many people not able to get the exact basic necessities. People are laying off from their post and from their job itself, and they are giving the half of the salary and put into the post. But finally it is very difficult for the Lebanese to even pay for the basic necessities. And it is the situation happen in the Lebanese and Lebanon countries that they're not able to pay their they're not able to afford the basic necessity. They are not able to pay the bills because everything is doubled. The food cost is doubled, and things what are the food the food, the bread, everything have to pay, and because they do not have the money, and what to do for that. So they just what they do is basically they are basically they're out of this basic necessities. And finally the situation ahead that the government has to resign, and the corruption is in such a way that the rampant over the countries, and the situation ahead that the prime minister has to resign from the post itself. So this is the situation of the Lebanon and the country. But I just want to ask you what exactly the experts' opinion. The experts' opinion says that when the religions interfere in the politics, this is a very difficult situation, because each religious people has to take the benefit of their own rather than the benefit of their the people itself. So it's better that the system should be such a way that there is no kind of religious group. So any person can be taken and become a prime minister, become a president, and become a the member of the parliament. That will be the experts' opinion. And at the same time that this system should be go to the go to the external, should be transition to the external or overseas, so that any kind of NGOs, any kind of the technocrats will take the lead of the group rather than this religious group. But it's pretty difficult, because nowadays one of the very elite group, which is called a Hezbollah, which is the terrorist militant group, has surrounded and has captured the most of the time in the Lebanon, because these are the political party which is called the terrorist group by the US and the European countries, has surrounded its home all over the Lebanon. So it's a bit difficult to root out them from the country itself. So this is a thing all about I discuss about Lebanon and Lebanon country. But it is very much important that we should take a chance that this thing should be stance that this thing should be take out of the Lebanon, and Lebanon would be the beautiful country and should be say very good country compared to the other countries like India, like countries like and all European, Asian countries like that, so that people will be benefited out of it. So this is all about my story. On this stories I want to ask two questions on the story. The first question is, should religions interfere into the politics? You have to decide. The second question is not related to politics, not related to religion, but it's exactly our life. Every day in our life we are tend to see our lot of difficulties, and we are cry for the lot of difficulties, but we see the Lebanese peoples who are even very difficult, most difficulties facing than us. So it is always say that to the for our difficulty rather than thankful for our benefit or not. So these two questions I just want to push in the videos. Just tell us what about your opinion. This really benefit for everyone. This is all of now. Till now, goodbye, and thank you so much for watching my video.